is Joshua Dibble, otherwise known as King of the Muck, here with another video. Before I get into it, I want to uh, say, make sure I put the disclaimer out there that the music that you will be listening to, I obviously don't own the rights to it. I don't own anything to it. All rights go to the label of the performing artist, and that whole copyright legal thing. What I'm using the music for is to talk about actually the band or the group that the music is from. Anyone that's listening to it and recognize it, it's this group known as BabyMetal. They've been around for about, I guess, 9 years now. I recently got into them, and I don't usually do videos on like entertainment and stuff like that and reviews, and that's not necessarily what this whole video is going to be about. I will do my review because I've not necessarily of their just their latest album, but like the band in general, and then like the whole group, like them, Amuse, the Koba Metal, who's the producer, I guess, um, and just the general my interpretation and my uh, the way baby metal is for me personally, and how I see that they're kind of affecting the world. Um, I usually make videos about like philosophy and politics and science and stuff like that, and I'm kind of trying to branch myself out to entertainment as well, but I'm not so strongly, uh, you know, suited for that. But I am going to be tying this into a philosophical discussion as well, because to me there is a sort of philosophy behind the whole idea of baby metal, and obviously they have their messages that they're putting out there, and they're genuine about it. It's a really good message, trying to unite people, and I'll get to that. Before I get into that discussion though, like I want to give a background of like my musical taste. Uh, you know, I'm 30 years old, and I've been to Metallica concerts. I've been to Rob Zombie concerts. I've been to concerts for Disturbed and Avenged Sevenfold. I've been to concerts for local bands. I listen to all types of different music. I listen to metal and rock, and I used to, I listen to, the not never really jazz. Never really been big into jazz or like orchestra music or anything like that, but rap and hip hop I've listened to. I've listened to folk music. I've listened to, military marches and stuff like that. So my musical sense is pretty broad. If you were to go to my YouTube channel, which is disabled for the time being because I guess there was like some error with another YouTuber, like something happened with him, and anyone that was associated with him was disabled. So that's hopefully getting fixed because I have a lot of content on that channel that I don't really want to start over and rebuild. Mostly because I got a lot of good music and videos and stuff on there that I really don't want to lose, or have to, at least I don't want to have to try to go find again. But anyways, uh, so my musical taste is pretty broad, and I've never really seen too many like big shows before. Um, like, but I've been, like I said, Rob Zombie, Metallica, like some of the Slayer as well. I actually went to one concert. It was Metallica, Slayer, and Gojira, which are three really huge bands. Obviously Rob Zombie and stuff like that too. So and for a long time, Metallica was my favorite band, like for a very long time. So my taste into like the whole, like, at least for this video, like the whole metal scene, like I wasn't really out there wearing like spikes and shit like that, but I was into that music, like going to shows and heavy riffs and fucking the devil horns and shit like that. I never. I've been in a mosh pit like once, maybe twice, Never really been a fan of that, but I would like to get into the whole like moshing uh, scene sometime. I would like to. Anyways, uh, so yeah, that's my musical taste. So it's not like just some guy who's had who my like, so when I'm speaking on music, I kind of know what I'm talking about. Like I said, I've been to local shows. I've been to like shows for up and coming bands, and I've been around people who really are into metal to the point where like they listen like very closely to I was like that. Anyways, like when I first came across baby metal, actually, well, let me. When I first looked into baby metal, I honestly didn't like them. Um, I kind of weirded me out. How I actually, well, kind of how I first learned about baby metal was I was in prison and one of their songs came on the radio. It was for this it was this local rock station near the prison I was at, and uh, and on the rock station for like in like 2 hours every Sunday they would play like a heavy metal segment, like heavy metal music. The rest of it was like hard rock and stuff. For the rest of the show, but for 2 hours they played heavy metal, and uh, I was listening to it, and I caught the name Baby Metal. It just popped up, but it was the DJ was saying that a song by Baby Metal is gonna be coming up soon, and this was 2018, like the end of 2018, like around September, October. Um, and so I heard the name. It didn't mean anything to me at the time, and I'm listening to the station. The hour is getting close to the end of it, and the song comes on. And just to give a little context of like why it's such a big deal to me. First of all, like I said, I was in prison, and anybody who's ever been there, it's a horrible place to be. Like for a good person, like I'm not I'm not a piece of shit or anything. I'm not like, I'm not judgmental or racist, or I'm not out there, murdering and raping or all that shit. Like I was homeless. I broke into a place to, get something to eat, and I got caught. You know, That's why I was there. So, I'm in this horrible place, and I'm in there for every day. It's a struggle to even like feel not like you feel like you're gonna get stabbed and raped at any moment and shit. And so this song comes on, and the it captures me as I'm listening to it. I'm like, holy shit, what is this? Now again, I was in prison and I've been listening to music for like a couple weeks now at this place, and that was like my escape from prison for a little while. But even though I was listening to music and it was helping, it never really was able to pull me out of that prison, out of the wall, get me out of the prison walls metaphorically. But when this song came on, my entire everything else was gone. I wasn't in prison anymore. I wasn't fucking in a horrible place. It was like the only time I've ever actually felt good while being in prison. And it was as this song was playing. It was heavy. It was fast. It was deep. The drums were amazing, and then the vocalist started singing. And because that's what caught me first was the music. It's always been I love fast and heavy drums. That's like and guitar riffs. I love heavy speed metal. That's my like probably my favorite. So that's going, and I'm blown away. I'm sitting there like I said, I'm fucking in my own fantasy world at this point, listening to the music, and then the vocalists start going, and they're singing. I assumed at that point it was Japanese, you know, and these, it was female vocalists, and they were singing, and it sounded fucking amazing. Like it went with the music so well. And for that, like the 2 3 minutes, 2 to 4 minutes that it played, I was I was gone. I was happy. So it ends, and after the song is over, the DJ doesn't say who it is, what the song is, the name of the song or who it's by or anything like that. I'm like, fuck, what is that? And at this point, I'm still like, a good bit away from getting out of prison, like a few months. So I was like, I need to figure out who this is. So when I get out, I can look it up. And I had my pen and paper. I was sitting there waiting I was listening for the rest of the show, the metal segment, trying to hear the song, the name of the song title, at least the artist or whatever. But I could, they didn't say it. The DJ wouldn't say it. I'm like, fuck, man. And this like the greatest experience. I mean, it was like the greatest experience I had because like it was such a contrast to the environment I was in that it just stuck with me. So I really wanted to catch this, find out who they were. And then I remember hearing the name BabyMetal from the hour before, at the beginning of the segment. I'm thinking that has to be them. It there's no way it's not them. That has to be the name of the band of that song that played. BabyMetal sounds Japanese. Like it sounds like it would be if any band were to be called BabyMetal, it would be a heavy metal band with Japanese female singers. So I wrote that down, and eventually I wrote down the time and the day and the date that I found that because for the next few weeks, because that segment only played Sunday, so you only got heavy metal music on Sundays. It was like I think 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock, 8 to 10 or 10 to 12, one of those times. Anyways, so every Sunday after that, I would save my batteries. I would save I would collect batteries. I'd find batteries and save them. And I don't know if I ever bought any, but either way, like I would get batteries. I would save them, save the juice, and every Sunday, like I said, I'm in prison. So like music was my only escape. So I'm going through the rest of I was reading and writing and stuff too, but like music was like my way of like blocking out everybody else, audibly. So I'm listening, I'm sacrificing listening to music for the rest of the weeks, to try to save my battery power for Sunday. And every Sunday, of course, never again, never played again. And I would listen, and it would never come up again. It didn't come up for the rest of the time I was there. That song didn't play. They never, so I was like, fuck, like I'm not gonna be able to find this. So eventually I get out, and I get back home, and I start looking them up. But I can't find anything on them. Like I realized later on, and now like I could have just gone to Google and typed in Japanese band, Japanese metal band, and because at this point, obviously this is the end of 2018, so they're already pretty big at this point. But I'd never heard them before, so I didn't know they existed. So like I was just thinking like they weren't gonna even be that big. So like when I was going through Google and looking for the song that I had no idea what it was called, I had no idea what the band was called. I was just typing in things like Japanese metal band or something like that, or I was looking the radio station. I was looking for like metal heavy segment in this station in northern Florida. Anyways, I couldn't find it. And I was getting upset. I was like, man, I really wanted to find that. But I was, I sold myself to, okay, fine. I'm not going to find it. It happened. It did what it did its purpose. Because when I heard that song, the rest of my time in prison was so much better. Like, even though I never heard it again, the rest of my time that I was in prison was so much better. Because I had that anticipation of looking forward to that song. And then, like, it was playing in my head over and over again. Like, I was, like, playing it in my head over and over again. And it just made the rest of my time there way much better. Anyways, so I gave myself over to the idea that, okay, I'm not going to find it. It's gone. But it did its purpose, whatever. And then I get onto onto Twitch, I'm going into I can't remember even which one it was, but I was in this one channel, and these people were, happened to bring up Baby Metal. They were like talking about it. I can't remember how it came up, but it came up, and I was like, huh. Oh, no, 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 no. Excuse me, I had that wrong. I did find the band. I found the band Baby Metal when I did my Google search, but I couldn't find that song. I couldn't find the song that I heard. That's what it was. So like I was going through all the different. Actually, yeah, that is incorrect. The way I said that. I did, yeah. So I did find them. I couldn't find that song. The song was Distortion. I found out later. The song that I heard in prison was Distortion, and I couldn't find that song going through, or because I didn't know the name of it, and so I was going through and I was listening, and nothing sounded like it. That I was going, but again, it's going to the point like when I was looking into them, I wasn't even really into them. Like the rest of their music never really hit me. Like, as I was just because I was kind of like in my whole like forget this if it doesn't, trying to listen to it and make sure it's what I heard, and nothing was sounding like it. So I was like, fuck, I guess it's gone. And I didn't even think to like look into the rest of the music and see if I liked that because I was just dead set on that song. So I gave up, like I said, and then these people were bringing up Baby Metal in this chat for the stream, and I'm like, you know, I'm gonna look for it again. And this was like a couple weeks later. This was like like a few weeks later. I'm like, I'll do my search again, and I go through and I'm playing, do it again. I look it up. I look them up on YouTube, going through all the the different songs, different videos, and then I finally found it. I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is definitely it. Um, so I found it, and immediately I added it to my playlist because it was amazing. And then watching the video for it, I'm big into anime, but not really anime. I'm big into like monsters and magic and anime too, but like fantasy stuff. So like seeing like the guys fucking fighting these giant stone monsters and shit. That was sick as fuck. The video for it, like the video for it was dope as fuck. Like it wasn't. Oh my god, I love that video. Um, so I fell in love with that. I fell in love with that song back in prison because of what it did, and then I fell in love with it again watching the video because it was like, this is amazing. Um, so I find them, and then I start looking into their other music, and because I don't think it was immediate. I think I found that song, and then like a little while later, maybe a few days, maybe a week or so later, I decided, let me check out the rest of the music. Because I'm very picky about my music, especially when it comes to like, and in this time I didn't realize how popular they were, but like, I don't really like there's this thing like where I like a band, or like I like a couple songs from a band, and then like I'll listen to more from them, and eventually the rest of their music doesn't live up to the initial uh, feeling that first song gave me, so it's kind of like disappoints me or something like that, or the rest of the music is kind of like just disappointing because it's not exactly the message that I look for in music, because that's kind of what I do. Like when I don't really, I'm not really big into like music that's just catchy anymore, like catchy tunes and stuff like that. Like I'll listen to it, but I won't really like look for it. Like if you go onto my playlist, like I mean, I have stuff that's catchy, but there's also like, if not like a deep or inspirational message, there's at least a bit more context to it. Like it's at least weird, or it's weird but in a way that's trying to like, not make being weird seem so wrong, or whatever. Or a lot of the stuff I listen to is very political and stuff like that, or just like really strong messages. So I was a little, so I'm always worried about like finding a good song from a band and then going listen to their other stuff, and then everything else just being a disappointment. So I decided to check, the rest of the music from Baby Metal out. And the first song that I come across was "Gimme Chocolate." It's obviously, because it's their like, I guess their biggest song. And I started listening to it, and as I was listening to it, like the opening music was fucking great. It's heavy. It's again heavy. It's fast. It's what I like. And then again, the I can't remember. I think it's Moa that starts singing first. Either way, it's the opening. The da 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 the fucking they're repeating the same, noise or word over and over again. That immediately turned me off because I thought it was just like, okay, the way that they did that, I was like, my immediate thought was, okay, this is just some crazy gimmick. I thought it was just gonna be some nonsense. So as soon as I heard that, as soon as the opening lyrics, like not even to Sue's part, but the opening lyrics, I was just done. Nope, freaked me out. I was like, nope, not gonna do it. It's like, it didn't like freak me. I kind of freaked me out because I was like, this is just nonsense. So I stopped listening to it. So I was like, okay, I got Distortion. That song's amazing. I don't really want to listen to whatever else they have because of that. And I'm not judgmental. I don't have a problem with the idea of like idol music with metal. I think it's a pretty, even back then. Like I've always been into like weird stuff like that. Anyways, where you take like heavy, you know, themes and you mix it with like cutesy stuff. Like I said, I've watched anime and I've got a pretty, like I said, broad taste in entertainment in general, and just my personality is kind of like that too. Like I don't mind the mixing. It's just the way that it came out through them. I didn't like it, and it's not even that, but it's just like just that opening lyrics of the repeating that same word over and over. The ah da 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 da. I can't but it just turned me off. So I didn't listen to them. And then at some point I came across this other band, this other kawaii band, kawaii metal band called Lady Baby, and they're kind of like they're pretty famous too. Not as big. I personally like them. To me, like they're like probably Baby Metal right now is my favorite band, and I'll get to how that happened. Like far and above anything. They're to me they're the top. Um, Lady Baby, well, Lady Baby is up there. Lady Baby is one of my favorite bands too. Um, and I'm not a weeb. Like I don't have this like, or I don't. There's a couple. I've heard a couple different definitions of what a weeb is. One is like people that just like Japanese culture, which I did. I like anime and stuff, but I'm not really a fan of their like parts of their culture are very strict and stuff like that. And I'm not really. I'm very sketchy about the whole idol culture thing. This idea that you know taking little kids and making them I don't know. There's something weird to me about that. Like, I gotta look into it more, and I gotta see. Like, I don't know. I'm stuck in like conspiracy theories. So it's like, what are they really doing, and how are they going about doing it? It's fucking. And I don't. And even if it's not like some crazy shit, like I still don't like the whole idea of like telling people, especially like little kids, like breeding them a certain way and putting restrictions on them. Like, 'cause I guess like they can't date or anything like that. It's to me that's crazy. Like. I understand you want an image, but like that's not necessarily how life works. We're not supposed to be like adhered to like a certain image all the time. We're organic organisms, like we're supposed to be able to. But that's a whole nother discussion. Anyways, came across this other band, Lady Baby, and I first came across like their older. But a constant theme here is that like I come across these bands recently, but they've been around for fucking years. And how I've not been able to, like I said, I was big in the metal. Like I was big in like not just I was big in the metal, but like one of my friends who was also big in the metal, he was always finding like the obscure, unknown bands and being able to throw them out. Like, and I'm pretty sure I honestly do think that years ago he did show me a Baby Metal video of Doki Doki Morning, because when I watched that video now, I remember him showing it to me. I remember my first response is when I heard the name, when I read the name Baby Metal, my immediate thought was, because I'm pretty sure he even told me like it was Japanese metal, and my immediate thought was, this is gonna be fucking scary and it's gonna be really weird, but I'll check it out. And that was like years ago, but I don't really remember if it went down. I can't remember if that's exactly how it went, so I don't really count that. So but anyways, how these bands have escaped me, aside from the fact that I was in prison, but like Baby Metal's been around since 2010. and Lady Baby since like 2016. So Lady Baby I can see because I didn't really, I had to kind of do my own thing around that time. But like 2010, that's when I was really, really, really big into metal. Like that was like around the era of me being huge into metal. So how they escaped me, I have no idea. Anyways, come across Lady Baby and their song Nippon Manju, which I guess is like their first single. And it's the same thing. They're two idol girls and Ladybeard, and it's metal and it's pretty heavy. It's the pop music, which I don't really mind pop music. I don't really go on my way to listen to it, but like if it's if it's good, it's good. I don't mind catchy stuff. I just prefer catchy and some sort of message or whatever, some sort of depth outside of just catchy, like artistic value and stuff like that, which they do. I was, anyways, the song's playing and I like it, and I'm watching the video and it's pretty cool. And that one I liked. I liked the Nippon Manju, so I saved it to my playlist and I would listen to it. And as I was listening to it, and I watched the video and stuff, and it's really weird. And that's the thing. There's a video out there where this dude mentioned how like the Japanese have like a really good way of like doing not necessarily just weird stuff, but like scary. How they incorporate like scary, almost horrific undertones into their entertainment. Because I've always been frightened. Kind of frightened of any sort of like horror movie that's like from Japan. For the gore too, but that's the whole point. It's like they, it's not necessarily like it's usually frightening shit. Like it might be like cheesy or something like that, but they have a really good job of like just do a really good job of like atmospheric fear and then like expectation. Like you see something like and they're extremely gory. Like and that's and it's not just gory like. It's like gory but like horrific in a way. Like you got like the American movies of like Jason and Freddy and stuff, and there's a bunch of gore and teen slashers and shit. But you don't really, it's not really scary because what's scary about the whole Japanese thing is like the way that they do it. They make it seem just so, it's just casually done. You know what I'm saying? Like casually, some horrible thing can just happen to you at any moment. Like that, and that's the sort of like a horrific thing that they encapsulate in a lot of their entertainment. And that's what BabyMetal was doing. BabyMetal, but Lady Baby. When I was watching their video, like there's that weird undertone to it of just like some dark, horrific, theme, and I like that. But I listened to that video and I listened to it and I have this thing where like if I come across music that I really like, I listen to it over and over and over again. Like literally like I'll listen to it like 5 times in a row and then keep going until I don't want to listen to it anymore. So I'm listening to them, and as I'm listening to them, I'm like, what, this is pretty cool. I'm still, it made me think, okay, I like this. Maybe I'll try BabyMetal again. I'll because they kind of got me used to the whole idea of the, if it is like a gimmick, at least now I'm kind of like more comfortable with the idea. So I go back to BabyMetal and I go back to Gimme Chocolate. Actually, I don't even know if it was Gimme Chocolate. I can't remember what it was, but like, I went back to BabyMetal and I started listening to them. And at first, I liked a lot of the stuff, and it had to been BabyMetal. It had to been Gimme Chocolate first because like in my playlist, that comes right after the Nippon Manju by Lady Baby. So I'm going back and I'm listening to it, and I like a lot of their stuff. I don't understand what they're saying because I don't understand Japanese, but it's catchy. And like I said, it's also good. Not just catchy, but like the heavy music, the metal music and stuff is really good, and it's entertaining. Like, and it was the dance moves too. Like their dancing is really captivating. Uh, so I added the Gimme Chocolate, and then I added the uh, Mega Megatsune, the yeah Mega Kitsune, whatever the name of that song is. I can't. I'm really bad at pronouncing this. Megitsune. I got the CDs, but anyways, I add that, and I add Road to Resistance on my playlist, and I'm listening to it, and they're good, and it's good, but I'm not really a fan yet. It's like one of those things where yeah, I'll listen to it, whenever I whenever I play my playlist and it comes through, and I'll listen to it. Um, and then like out of nowhere, and I don't really even know where it came from, but like I don't even know where the transition came from, where uh, I went from seeing them as like okay, they're pretty cool, they're good. I listen to them to where I'm at right now, where like this for me is the greatest baby metal, you know, is the greatest entertainment I've ever come across. Their music is I'm at the point where like I'm now like a baby metal like super fan. Like I can't tell not to say like I can tell you like all their facts, and I can tell you like but like their music to me, and not just their music, like cuz I've now I've watched their performances and stuff, and I tried to go to a show but I couldn't make it. I'm gonna just try to get out to one. I want to go to one of their arena shows because I again I bring up the reference to Rob Zombie mainly because if you've ever been to a Rob Zombie concert, I've been to one, and he put on the greatest show that I had been to, better than Metallica and Slayer and Killswitch Engage and Disturbed and all of them. The showmanship and the amount of production at his show, like I think he had like he had the giant screen that was playing like his music videos, and then he had like pyrotechnics and shit, and he might have even had like some sort of robot or something on there, and it was amazing because like there was so much production and thought put into like the whole, and obviously the music's great, but I'm a sucker for production. And watching like the arena shows and watching the arena shows of baby metal, watching like the one that's got me lately is when they're at like one of their earlier like way years ago, where they're on top of the floating like fortress. Like it's a big ass platform, and that's set above, way above the stage. It's got these giant screens that go around it. It rotates. The fucking there's like 3 little stages on top. You gotta take it. They come out on an elevator to get up there, and I'm like, oh my god, bro! I'm watching this and I'm like, I'm watching. I'm like, what the fuck is this? How like it is beyond anything I've ever fucking seen before. And it made me go, I need to get to one of these shows. I need to get to one of these arena shows. But not even just the arena shows, because that's not even like the biggest point for them. The biggest point is just that the amount of and the scale of that kind of symbolizes like the amount of work that obviously the lead, the 3 girls, now the 2 because Yui's gone, but with the Avengers it's adding up. But like the girls, the music, obviously the band is fucking amazing. The production team, the one, I guess is one choreographer, like the dancing, like it's all so well orchestrated. And that's when I try to describe to people, like been on forums and shit, like talking about baby metal, like, cause like there's this big, and this is going into like kind of like the more philosophy of it, but like this whole like stigma that not stigma, but this like the I guess over the years like baby metal's been getting a lot of backlash by people. Some of them are trolls, but then you got your metal purists and stuff that talking all this shit about the, this band or whatever. And my idea, my understanding of it came to be that like people are talking shit, one, because they're fucking stupid. They can't seem to appreciate what they are, but It's just, I guess, because they're, it's not three girls starting a garage band and getting big. They want that story, and it's not, they're, they, call them a gimmick, they call them fake, they call them whatever, and they're not metal or whatever. But then like you watch like their interviews and stuff like that, and you'll watch the interviews, watch the performances, and like see how like get and I started like looking into them because I've never done this before. I've never looked into a band before. I've never been that interested in a band, especially like a big name band that I you care to really like look into. But these just the amount of again, the production thing is the big shows and stuff, but like the amount of passion that these performers, the girls and the band, seem to have for what they're doing. Like that, I want, I'm very good at watching people, and I'm not not an expert in psychology or anything like that, but I've learned how to read people, like how to read people's like facial expressions, their body language and stuff like that. And when these, when they perform, the girls and the band, when you watch them, especially in their, their live performances, you see a passion and an energy in them, especially when they start like bringing in the crowd and like going up, and the crowd to them interface is so strong and so good. Um, you know, it's that's something that I've never really seen like before. Like I said, I've been to big ass concerts that I've never seen anybody engage with the crowd and just have that amount of like enjoyment in what they're doing. Um, so, anyways, you know, the way I try to just to uh, explain to people now when I talk about this, like, from what I understanding of my research into them, like, you can't really look at them as a band. It's not necessarily a band. It's like a production. It's like a theatrical production, and they talk about this all the time. Koba Metal, which is like the producer, Kiki Kobayashi or whatever his name is. I don't know. He came up with the idea, and then like Amuse Inc. was, I guess, is the production company. I don't really know, specific, all the specifics to it, but he came up with the idea. He chose these three girls, and they put this whole thing together. It was his idea. You know, and I try to explain to people, like, if you go, let's say you go to a school, because it was a theme, like this whole Sakura Gakuin girls or whatever. Let's say you go to a high school play or a middle school play, and they're doing like a Shakespeare production. Now those kids, they didn't fucking obviously come up with the play. They didn't come up. I mean, they might have, obviously they didn't come up with a Shakespeare play, you know, but they're playing the parts. They worked hard to memorize the lines. They've worked hard to memorize whatever choreography they need to do to, to present the play to the audience in a way that is engaging, that's entertaining, and that gets you to enjoy it. And that's what this whole thing is with Baby Metal, from what I see. It's a production put on. These people were cast to be this part, and these people took those parts seriously. And now it's a little bit more personal, I think, than just a play, because these three girls who are the heads of this, they seem to actually have embraced what they were trying to portray, and they've actually become this. Because you watch interviews and stuff, like, they don't even really talk about themselves in their music. They say that they do a lot of the whole like baby metal, throwing their name out and stuff, but like when you watch like interviews with them, like their whole thing is to get people to like metal music. Not necessarily, obviously they want people to like them too, but like their interviews are talking about how they can get more people to come listen to music, to metal music. And they always, and then they explain in like almost all their interviews, like how they came out to be, that it's not, they didn't think it up. They were introduced to metal. They're introduced to this idea, and they've kind of like grown into it. And, so my thing is, I want to tell somebody, you wouldn't go to a middle school play and call the fucking kids, a gimmick or fakes or something because they didn't come up with the fucking Shakespeare play. So I don't know why people are bashing, this group for doing basically the same thing except just on a bigger scale. Yeah, they're not, they're not gonna have that garage band story to tell, but their story is very interesting, and it's very interesting because it's you know there's one interview where they sue metal. She kind of makes a statement that like there's nobody else out there like this, and there are people out there now that are close, but like they've done something. Koba metal, dude's a fucking like entertainment and like entertainment wise, the dude is a genius. Like I don't know how much each member of this group has influence on the creativity part. Like I'm not on this idea that it's just Koba's idea and the girls are like some puppets in his scheme. Like I do think that they come up with a good bit of the creativity, the parts. I'm not really. I just don't think that it's all him and they're just pawns. I think they actually do more creative involvement than we know of. But either way, like the whole idea is brilliant. Is a brilliant idea. You're mixing two very very extreme, not even genres of entertainment, but like lifestyles, like metal music, because that's the whole thing that I was trying to emphasize to somebody, like the whole like cultural impact that baby metal is having. And they're trying to make the point that like they're not, they were trying to make the point to me that they're not having a cultural impact, and I thought you're fucking stupid. Like, he didn't seem to understand like the whole concept of cultural impact, because it's not just music like pop and metal, like Idol. Let's just say Idol, but for you know not going into that specific branch, but like pop music, pop and metal. In our society, those aren't just genres of music; those are lifestyles that people choose. You've always seen it in school and shit, where like the metal heads and the pop, you know, uh, kids, they're kind of like always separated and ragging on each other, and the metal culture is all about like they're very opposite ends of the cultural spectrum, and the baby metal, they fused that, and they did it so well. It's like it's not even just like the idea was good, but like the actual practice and putting it into form. And again, what makes it so good is that it's got that whole Japanese like undertone of like not just weird, but like horrific imagery. Like you got Su Metal being crucified. You got them talking about like demons, and you got them talking about the one song where it's black baby metal, and it's Yui and Moa singing about the number 4 and how it's like basically ragging on like superstitious beliefs and everything like that. Like it's kind of like it's doing what their message is supposed to be about. They're breaking down boundaries, and but it's not just about them bringing two genres together, or even the way I say is two cultures into one. But like they bring them together, but like they're also like in their music they're still like just destroying. It's not just the fusion, it's like their lyrics are about kind of and it's actually like it was funny to me. It's like their lyric. Again, I've had to look up translations for it and stuff, and like so it's not completely accurate to what the message are trying to actually say. And like some of the songs, like you can't. It's really hard to find the English translations. Um, but like a lot of their music is like the lyrics are very weird too. But again, just that undertone of just like some serious, personality, like not issues, but like personality struggles, uh, dealing with daily life, dealing with, in the one song they talk about bullying, and other songs they talk about, uh, basically like hero worship, like Metataro, something about some sort of hero, and like the whole last album, the Metal Galaxy, and there's their songs are happy and poppy and deep metal stuff, like the sound, their singing and everything is upbeat. The metal music is fast and heavy and stuff, but their lyrics and their message is like a really just it's, I don't know. And then like you mix all that together and you come out with, again, for me, one of the most amazing entertainment groups I've ever come across. But it's not just because of their music. It's not just because of their singing or their dancing or the lyrics or the production team or their live shows. It's all that put together. And that, you got to look at the entire uh, whatever it is they are, their whole thing, and analyze it like that. And when you look at it, they've created uh, I don't know, just something new, and it's something that like I've fully grasped, and it's kind of like consumed me in a way, because like I don't really do this whole like uh following popular bands and shit, but like they're the only band I've ever come across that like have pulled me in such a way. I think that's it. I mean, I guess I could talk about like their albums, but there's really no point, because really the whole point of this was to kind of like uh, just discuss them as a group, and I've pretty much hit every point. I just really like what they're doing, and I hope they continue to do more. And I'm very interested in seeing what what happens with them later on. You know, because they're a very good thing to happen, not just in entertainment, but I do think that they are a cultural um, influence that the world kind of needs. Now, I say that, and one thing I am always worried about is that, like, let's say, you know, you don't know, but let's just say, like, this whole entire time, like, let's just say, like, they really don't care about the message, and they're just doing it for entertainment and just to make money, and they end up being, like, horrible people. That would be upsetting. Um, but I don't see that with them. I think this is just, the thing that gets me is that, like, all of like the pretty much all of the biggest names in metal music, like popular metal music, Metallica, Rob Zombie, people like Rob Halford, and pop, stars like Lady Gaga, and all these people are just like openly embracing this Japanese, you know, group. And whenever you watch them with like interviews, whenever you watch like the interaction between like Baby Metal and like these big stars, like the people who talk about Baby Metal, like Rob Zombie and everything, like they're almost giddy to it's like just the energy that this group has is swallows up everybody that's around them, except for, I guess, like the purists out there that just can't get over the idea of like three little, not little anymore, but this group doing it what it is they're doing. But those people are just stupid, because even if you don't like the music, and I'm not saying you have to like the music, but you have to you have to acknowledge the fact that what they're doing is pretty fucking amazing. um I personally love the music, and it's the only band I've ever come across who every single song of theirs I really like. Like, I don't. There's not a single song that I dislike, and every single one catches me. And that's what's so crazy about them. That's what's so good about them. It's like every song that they do is a completely different experience from the last song. They have certain themes that they go on, like they got their black baby metal, and they got their, the slower songs, or like the power ballads, whatever, or like the really high energy songs. But like each one, it seems like each song has like such a deep story behind it, and such, not just on, the song that's being, the music and the singing and the lyrics and stuff, but like the choreography that goes with each song, and then just their general, uh, you know, and it's not the important, the choreography, but like the amount of energy that these performers put into the choreography, like that's what's really, so, powerful about it. But so like I said, even if you don't like the music, you should, anyone could at least see, like, I'm not saying they're gonna last forever. As like they might not even have that big of a cultural impact, more than what they're having now. And they might die out, in a few years or something like that. Popularity, as far as like popularity and stuff goes, they might just like end up in obscurity. But what they're doing right now, and I guess what they've been doing for the last like 9 years, is they've really changed, the whole idea of really culture, not just music, culture, bringing, you know, two, like I said, two extremes together and turning it into something that's very, very enjoyable. And then spreading their message of trying to, unite everybody. It's pretty good. So I have huge respect, for them. I don't know if I should, because I don't know what they're really like behind closed doors. Like I said, they could just be faking it and not really care and just be doing it for the money and the fame and whatever. But I don't know that. I don't have any reason to assume that. Just for now, like I said, like as of right now, they are my favorite band, far and above like anybody else. Um, I just nothing ever liked it, nothing ever like it before, and yeah, that's that. I think that's it. I was gonna had some there was something about philosophy I wanted to tie into it too, because I'm just not really good with the whole like. And again, it's not necessarily a review of them. It's more of just like a general, I guess, a philosophy about them and how it ties in to like, you know, philosophy in general, like the giant, especially like the culture of philosophy and stuff. So I think I'll end it. So for anybody that listened or watched, I appreciate that. And I really suggest listening to this band and looking into them. And I don't really like to promote others in the way of like saying like follow their message, but you should at least listen to them and keep an open mind, because even if you don't like the music, there's the artistic and production behind it that's really good, the idea of it, and then to me, it is good. It's not even that. It's just on top of that, it really is like amazing to listen to. So well done. The music is good. The singing is good. The dancing is good. The production is good. They just do a good fucking job. So, 2 thumbs up. Keep up the good work. And, peace and love.